What's up, everyone? FNS here, Fox Nation Sports. Hope everybody's doing well. We are back at the HQ here for another recording of the podcast. Thank you for tuning back in. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode as we gear into now NFL Week 3. We've already got in there as the Bills and Dolphins played last night, with the Bills winning a pretty tight game. Miami went toe-to-toe with them to the end until Miami found ways, or Tua found ways, and the Dolphins in general, to find a way to lose that game. Buffalo goes to 3-0. Dolphins go to 0-3. But little recap on our NFL Week 2 personally over here for clients. We went 12-3. That's right, 12-3. We won over 9 units, 9.32 units, 32 units to be exact. Another amazing week. We thought we maybe wouldn't kind of repeat our week 1 performance for clients, but we did deliver. In week 1, we went 11-4 and 1 push for over 8.5 units. Then we get over 9 units this past week. So we are now over 17.82 units on the NFL season with a 23-7 record. $100 better right now with us is making over $1,700. If you guys want to join the package, that is up to you. If you just want to listen to the podcast, that is awesome. I do love it. But if you do want to be a client, our packages are up on the site. You can just buy a 1-week NFL package for $29.99. You can use promo code FAWK2025, FOC2025. You can also buy NFL 4-week package and buy the whole rest of the regular season, which includes the NFL playoff games. But we are red hot. There's no denying that. We are 8-0 with our kicker whisper plays. We are just thriving right now. We're not just thriving across football, American football, but also football, which is soccer. If you've been following us on Twitter, we have been on a tear with our anytime goal scorer props over this last 2 weeks. So it's been going great, and we hopefully keep going with the momentum. There's always going to be highs and lows. Right now, we are riding a big high and hope to stay around that area or just below it. But we're trying to brace for it all and always being disciplined with our bankroll management nonetheless. So great week. Kicker, as I said, Kicker Whisperer plays 8-0 now on the season. We're hitting over 60-ish% dating back to last year. And things are going well. But enough of me and how we're doing. NFL reports. We like talking about how it went during the week, what exactly happened, how did the totals do, the over-unders, how did the divisional dog matchups do, how did the favorites do straight up, and then how did teams do, which I like to say that the public was betting on them the majority. So in week 1, we saw the unders total games go 13-3, a blistering 13-3. Congrats to the underbettors of week 1. But as we said, be careful. Possibly in week 2, things were going to change, and surely enough, it did. Overs dominated with the 10-win, 4-loss towards the over. So things kind of even out there a little bit. Still, if you're an underbetter, I think you're winning a little bit more overall if you ran the numbers. But 13-3 under in week 1, 10-4 towards the over. I like to see how the divisional underdogs do when there's a divisional matchup. They went 2-4 this week. Last week it was 4-4. How did the favorites do this week, where public likes the bets? They dominated again. They went 11-5. As we told you before, favorites in week 1 went 14-2. They are now a combined 25-7. The favorites, straight up money line. That involves no spread. If you're just laying it down money line bets, if you're just picking them, you're doing survivor leagues, they are cashing right now. If I was a betting man, at some point this is going to slow down. It could be in week 3 as the leagues and teams start to settle in. Maybe we see a few more underdog winners there to kind of change that record there for the favorites straight up. But that is what the case is favorites are rolling. You can even include the Buffalo Bills in that category to start this week. They were minus 800. They won straight up against Miami, as we mentioned. And then my favorite column or category to talk to, and this is a big one, is teams that are getting at least 58 I kind of reduced to 58% or more of the betting tickets. I like to say that's the public, that's the herd. They're all placing the money or majority on a certain side. Teams this week, they got 58% or more of the betting tickets went 1-5. 1-5. You know what happened in week one, as we said? They went 1-9. That's a combined 2-14 record for teams that are getting 58% or more of the money. That means the public has been losing, in my eyes, in regards to if you're betting the spread. And that is one area that we stay clear away of, is betting with the public. Surely, of course, the public does get to eat. I've bet on the public side already this year and kind of beat myself up for that after looking at the numbers after the fact. I try to stay away from that as much as I can. It's definitely a big part of the equation here when we put all the analysis into a single game. So a glaring 2 for 14 when the public's betting 58% at least or more. So I like to keep this NFL report. You can't see me on my end right now, but I have my 2025, 2026 NFL report. We've got 2 weeks under the books, and I am keeping track of each one of these bets as we go through the season, just to see where we're at, because as we know, when you have a big week of unders or a couple weeks, things can, regression or positive regression, or water will seek its own level. Things kind of even out. But right now, straight ups, the most glaring things I see is favorite straight ups are crushing it, and teams that are getting 58% or more are getting crushed. So be careful. Maybe this is a week that the herd of the public gets to eat, but not so far yet in this NFL season. Let's talk about, I know maybe it kind of takes some time here, but last week we went through each team in the NFL on the matchup, and I don't try to dive into it too much, but I like to mention what I thought about each game, or what my quick analysis, a couple words. So first game of last week was the Washington Commanders and Packers. The Commanders, I've been saying it all year, I'm a big person who sides on sophomore slumps, and I'm calling that for Jaden Daniels. Unfortunately for him, it looks like he's going to be missing the game against the Raiders. So Marcus Mariota will start. When I say sophomore slump, I don't mean it in regards to injury. I just think the Commanders did really good last year in winning those big games, and people have a little game film on Daniels now. So Commanders still respectable. Packers are great. They played a respectable game against the Packers. Let's talk about the Packers. This team looks really good. They beat the Lions and Commanders, two playoff teams right there. The defense is standing out the most, and Jordan Love is moving that ball. He doesn't have big names on the receiver column, but he is moving that ball at ease right now against teams, and it is a strong start for this Green Bay Packers team to go along with Josh Jacobs at running back and this defense. With Micah Parsons, this is a strong defensive unit. He's made them even stronger. They were strong before that, but having Parsons there is making this team one to beat, and they are soaring up the odds right now to be one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. That could be anxious or excited jump to conclusion by public bettors that line's shorting and maybe baiting you Vegas to take them, but they are looking good, so kudos to them. Rams and Titans. Rams win that one. Rams looking very good. They're 2-0. Defensively, they look strong to me. They're a team to be reckoned with. Great coaching, great quarterback, but the defense coming together is looking very nicely. Tennessee defense is keeping them in games, no doubt about it. They are just a little bit offensively challenged right now. Cam Ward and young receivers, and they just can't seem to get the ball in the end zone. They're selling for a lot of field goals, but two highly competitive games for the Titans in back-to-back weeks. They just need to get something going offensively if they're going to try to sneak out some momentum or get some more W's this season. That'll be the tough part, Achilles heel of this offense. But Cam Ward, nothing to scream about just yet, just kind of playing neutral. I don't think he's thrown an interception just yet. Could be wrong, but they're just not getting things done there offensively. Steelers and Seahawks, if you heard the podcast last time and it was one of our free plays, we said this was the fishy play, a sneaky play. of the week. We thought people would be big on Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers off his high and that high scoring offensive win versus the Jets. But we said Seattle, even though they lost to San Francisco the prior week, that look out for them. This is a well coached team and great defense. Sam Darnold, and sure enough, our fishy play of the week and a play that we put our money where our mouth was. We bet the Seahawks +4, and they win outright. This is a great team, and look for this Seahawks team to surprise some this year in new era there with Coach Mike McDonald. Steelers, I don't know. I mean, I'm still not sold on Aaron Rodgers being the thing. Tomlin will do his magic, none of the doubt, better than the Jets. But so what's going on with the steel curtain defense there? We thought this was going to be one of their strengths, as it always is, but I do not see this defensive unit making plays just yet, even with all the big names they have. So they have allowed already 31 points to the Seahawks. And as you know, in week one, they allowed 32 points to the Jets. So there's something alarming there in Pittsburgh that they need to get fixed if they're going to have a decent year. Bills, they just won on Thursday night, but they beat the Jets. Bills doing the Bills thing. Don't need to say too much about them. As long as their defense can stay intact, they are obviously the top 2 team to beat in the NFL. Jets, what is there to say about the Jets? They're 0-2 already. Did not look good offensively. They've lost Justin Fields for this week. I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starting quarterback, the ageless Tyrod Taylor. So maybe he can do something. But, the strength of the Jets is the offensive line, but they're not looking too promising over there offensively. Shocker, right? Bears and Lions. Bears, they're looking okay offensively. They just got shellacked by Detroit, allowing 52 points. Look, I'm not big on the Bears any year, but, odds makers and public seem to like to bet the Bears season win totals, but they are not getting it done early on already. Lions bounce back as we thought they would. We hit on their team total for the game, and we had them in a parlay piece and had them in a survivor. You knew, even though they lost to a great Green Bay team, that they were going to come to play at home for their season opener, and that's just what they did with 52 points. Giants and Cowboys, let Russ cook is what the chance should be, and not be calling for Jackson Dart, because Russell Wilson, he played his heart out. His deep ball was hitting on all cylinders with Malik Neighbors, but of course left a little bit too much time at the end for Brandon Aubrey to nail a tying field goal in regulation and then a game winner in overtime. Cowboys sneaked that one off. Cowboys looking all right. They kind of were the team. They were the team to kind of beat the Giants, or called for single-handedly, but they made it close in the most Cowboy way possible. Kudos for them in their offensive performance. Browns and Ravens. Browns struggling, as we know, and the Ravens thriving. Ravens and Bills, the top two NFL teams to beat. Browns could not hang for that in that game too long. Their defense was hanging in there for a minute, and then they just fell apart, not getting anything going offensively with Joe Wacko Flacco. 49ers and Saints. 49ers a sneaky 2-0 on the year, even though they haven't really beat. Oh, that's false. They beat Seattle, who I'm high on, in week one. Ugly win. And then they squeaked by the Saints. So they go to 2-0. Health will be key for them. Mac Jones had a great game. Jawan Jennings had a great game. McCaffrey, and defense seals the win for them. They got a big game versus Arizona. Both teams 2-0 this week. Saints hanging in games, playing tough, but they got nothing going offensively for them. We are on the season win total on the Saints over 4.5. That hopefully it doesn't backfire on us. We actually liked the under and we switched it last second. So hopefully they can sneak out some wins. Defense is playing good. Offensively, they need to get more consistent. Patriots and Dolphins, they get their first win of the year. Look better. Drake May, Mike Vrabel, things look better. But of course, who did they play? Miami Dolphins. That is the real reason. But we'll see how this team progresses. As we said, Patriots is a team that's probably going to get better as the year goes along. I kind of like their defense, even though they allowed 27 points to Miami. I think they have some defense has some promise with the players they have back on the back end. More consistency from offense will keep this Patriots game going in a positive direction. Dolphins, I don't know. I mean, Up until last night's game, I would have said maybe they're the worst team in the NFL, but they played the Bills hard. Their defense looks bad. That's all I'm gonna say. You can complain about Tua and him not making throws, but it's a team game. Everyone's chipping in. The defense needs to pick it up, despite all the nice names they have on the defensive side. Jags and Bengals, we know Joe Burrow out, significant injury right there. Will be a big loss, but we know their backup can kind of keep them in hold. But they did squeak out a win to go 2-0 in the season. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags fall to 1-1. Um, they look good offensively. Defensively will always be the thing that worries me. But they look good. Yeah, the game was what we thought it would be. Come down to the last second. Panthers and Cardinals. Panthers somehow almost tried to win that game after the Arizona Cardinals started to choke it. You can blame that on Kyler Murray for a silly interception and early in the fourth quarter that let Bryce Young come back. Panthers aren't any good, but good to see Bryce Young fighting till the end. Cardinals are 2-0. They're doing good. It's going to be a big game against San Francisco. I'm curious to see how that one turns out. But Kyler Murray's got to limit the silly mistakes. He threw an interception early fourth quarter as he was falling to the ground. Just a silly, boneheaded play that's going to cost them and lead to more consistency in that franchise. Broncos and Colts. I don't know what's going on with the Broncos defense right now. They just allowed 29 points. They're not as feared as we thought they would be this year for whatever reason. At least that's the narrative thus far. They found a way to lose to the Colts. Shout out to Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones. They're calling him now. He's 2-0, probably top 5 quarterback on a fantasy perspective. Probably stats across all columns. It's amazing when you leave a losing culture team like the Giants, despite their 2-0 to somewhere more positive. And that's awesome that Shane Steichen is doing wonders with Danny Dimes right now. Eagles Chiefs was our game of the week. Eagles flexed their muscles once again, winning a close bout, ugly, doing enough offensively, a tush push, a rushing touchdown, and defense holding strong to beat the Chiefs. Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid and crew are 0-2. They look bad offensively once again. I know Eagles defense can be good at times, but that offense is still not going good. We talked about how they needed to get the run game going. They just don't have one. That offensive line is allowing defenders to chase Mahomes all over the place. In fact, Mahomes is the leading rushing quarterback in the NFL. That is not good news. He's scrambling for his life. He needs to make better throws, but that offensive line is one of the big reasons why they are getting pressured and also not thriving offensively like their normal ways. Falcons and Vikings smelled this was going to be a trap. The public was on the Vikings. We put a big one on Atlanta. They kicked butt with their new kicker, Romo. No, not sure what they're going to do at Young Ho Koo, but he didn't travel with a team, and the kicker takes him to victory. Bijan Robinson looks amazing. Not sure what to think about Michael Penix Jr. Vikings lose J.J. McCarthy. They lose Aaron Jones for a little bit, so it's good. It's interesting to see how Carson Wentz is going to do if he can get Justin Jefferson and that offense moving a little bit more. But don't sleep on the Vikings. They're still going to be in games of just the brand of football they play, which is running and defense. So don't count them out just because they lost basically rookie J.J. McCarthy. It could be a positive for all we know. Buccaneers and Texans. Wow, what a game. We actually had Texans money line on this. Baker Mayfield, man, just amazing what he's doing. His confidence is sky high. Led an 80-yard game-winning drive at the end. 4th and 15, I think 4th and 10 conversion off a run. The rest is history. They look good. Defense actually look really nice. But as we transition to the Texans, that's the Texans' weak point is the offensive line, kind of like the Chiefs. I think it's pretty safe to say that C.J. Stroud is past the sophomore slump, and he's slumping again into his 3rd year. The writing is starting to become a little bit more clear on the wall that the hype is dying down, and maybe we gave him his flowers too soon. But again, offensive line woes is making him look even a little bit worse. And the last game of the last game of the night was the Chargers and Raiders. Jim Harbaugh takes down Pete Carroll 20-9. Chargers playing great. I think the surprise for them is that their defense is playing awesome. I even was one to think that the defense was going to be one of the weaker points for them, but they are thriving. Justin Herbert, got a plethora of receivers. They're moving the chains. Dicker the kicker. Raiders come back down to earth, and we'll see how they bounce back. But they need to get Gianti some more carries, I would imagine, if they're going to go into week 3. But yeah, that was the recap of the whole slate. Sorry if I bore you, but I just kind of like to recap the game, something I do in my own betting analysis as we move into week 3. So those are my takeaways. All right, next segment. Fishy Lines. Fishy Lines of the week. Usually it's in NFL. Sometimes it can be in college football. And what's a fishy line? It's something that stinks. Something doesn't look right. Something may look very easy when you look at the market and you look at a spread or a total and you're like, why is this line so low? This seems like a lock, like an automatic. And your heart wants to bet with it. But as you learn through betting, through losses, as a novice bettor, you start to realize those fishy lines. You either stay away or you take the opposite of it. So, doesn't mean it's always a guaranteed winner, but it's definitely part of the process. Fishy lines for me, we were right last week when we said Pittsburgh, because my heart earlier in the week wanted Pittsburgh over Seattle, and I changed it to Seattle, and we were victorious there. My fishy line, my first one's going to be Green Bay Packers, 7.5 points favorite on the road versus Cleveland Browns. We talked about how good the Packers look right now, offensively and defensively. And they're going to Cleveland, and I know it's on the road, but the fact that they're only favored by 7.5 points it seems just a little low to me. And I don't know why that is. Maybe they're expecting Cleveland to play tough at home, which I think could potentially happen. I'm staying clear of the 7.5. My initial better self of a decade ago would jump all over this Packers team at 7 or 7.5. But I'm either staying away completely, or if anything, I would entertain the Browns. But they are the Browns, and that's tough to back them. But that seems fishy to me. Just for perspective, the Browns played Cincinnati in Week 1 in Cleveland, and Cincinnati was favored 5.5 points. And that was with Joe Burrow. Now you're telling me the Packers are only 2 points more better than that with Jordan Love and everything that Green Bay has to offer. I think somehow, some way, that the Browns are going to make this a game, and it smells very fishy to me. The other one, I have it circled. I have no play officially yet on it, but I'm leaning to it, is the Rams at Philadelphia Eagles. The Super Bowl champs are getting 72% of the bets right now at home. This is a 2-0 versus 2-0 matchup, and the Eagles are only getting a field goal or 3.5. You're telling me on a neutral field? This game's a pick 'em? Because 3 points always go to the home team in betting standard. So that's crazy to me. And I'm high on the Rams, no doubt about it. But the fact that 72% of the public is already on Philly, as they should, a novice bettor should. And look, Philly's Philly. They don't care about odds like we do as a capper. And they may prove a lot of people wrong, but that seems very, very fishy to me. That the Eagles are only 3-point favorites or 3.5. I think maybe the Rams are going to come to fuck, I like to speak. So, I mean, I may be leaning Rams, especially as I see the public on Philly right now. So those are my 2 fishy lines. We'll see how those fishy lines do next week when we recap. But those are the ones. And which takes us to Game of the Week. And then we'll get into free play. Game of the Week. I'm just going to mix this up across the board. It doesn't have to be winning teams always. Last week we did Philly and Kansas City. We talk about Arizona Cardinals and 49ers. NFC West battle. Both teams 2-0. Right now the 49ers are favored by 2.5 points. And they're getting 65% of the betting tickets. Look, I think the 49ers are grinding out some wins. They haven't looked that amazing. Looks like Mac Jones is going to be the starter again. Kudos to him. He had an awesome game. They still have good pieces offensively. McCaffrey, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall's looking great. No Kittle, as we said, no Purdy, but the defense is sound with some good names there. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Um, Cardinals, I would say, is the better offensive team of the two. I just don't know if I can trust Kyler Murray yet in this game, and this would be a big step for him if he can win this game on the road in San Francisco to push the Cardinals to 3-0 and put together a good game. I think the scale on Kyler Murray and what he brings to the NFL and his resume will go up for sure if they can win one in San Francisco. Especially San Francisco is going to be very excited coming home. They play 2 road games, 2 close, tight games, and now they get to go home for some home cooking with a 2-0 record. They're definitely going to get the 49ers' best punch. So I'm looking to see if Kyler Murray can put together 4 quarters of consistent football. As I said, he had a costly interception in that Panthers game that let literally the Panthers climb back and win that game. Lucky for them, they prevailed. But I want to see how he's going to play. I think that defensively they have some good names to keep definitely their team in this game, especially against 49ers. They have a big name receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously, Trey Benson, and James Conner. I think the key will be, can Kyler Murray protect the ball? Because if they don't, we know the 49ers will feast on the turnover differential and do just enough to get a W out of this game at Levi Stadium. My heart would say 49ers right from the gates. I am a 49ers lifer, as you know. But the fact that 65% of the betting tickets are already on them always will scare me. I'm actually going to look right now. Actually, I'm not, because I think I don't have it up. But I was as of a day ago, 65% was on San Francisco. Actually, while we're here, I'm just gonna do it. Why not? Bear with me here. So I like to look on VegasInsider.com when I track the betting tickets. I'm not saying they're the only site that does it. There's multiple other sites that will do it, tracking where the money's going and whatnot, but it's one I respect and consistent in my book with their numbers and the books that they track. So 49ers right now 61% of the money. I mentioned 65%. That was 2 days ago. Now it's the 61. So we got some people back coming probably from the other side to take Arizona. But that's the game of the week. Maybe this game comes down to a field goal. Maybe the 49ers kicking change from Moody to Carlos Santos will be the difference in this game. We shall see. But it's definitely a good, interesting NFC West matchup that I'm looking forward personally to watch. Hopefully, Kyler Murray stinks it up, and my Niners go to 3-0. All right, the fun time, free plays that we've hit 6 straight on Twitter, Instagram, or our podcast. Last week we gave on an episode Kai Fairbairn from the Houston Texans to go over 1.5 field goals on Monday Night Football, and he did just that. He did just that against the Bucks. That pushed our kicker whisper plays to 8-0 on the NFL season. I kid you not. I've told you I've won. What did I say? I've won 23 games on the year, and 8 of those have been kickers. Last year we hit over 60% on the season with kicker player props. We're already 8-0 this year. I'll have to do the math. We're probably at over 65% on our kicker props. And guess what? We are going to go again back to the well. Why not? Kicker whisper play for our free play on the pod. We're going to Cameron the Dicker, who was also one of our winners last week on Monday Night Football. We like him over 1.5 field goals right now. And you can find, if you can find this, which I have, on Hard Rock, you can find him at minus 120 odds. If you look at him, a lot of other sites, he's like minus 170, minus 180, minus 190. And I'm sure people, not because of me, he's a very well-known kicker. He's very accurate. But that line discrepancy is very exciting for me. I'm going to do my best to not get too excited. But we are pouncing on this line. Very dirt cheap line, minus 120. Look, the Denver Broncos, he's playing the Denver Broncos, by the way, who have allowed already 9 field goals through 2 games. 5 field goals in week 2, 4 field goals in week 1. This is a Denver Bronco team that I probably would never bet this play against the defense because of the respect I have for the defensive unit. But something's not working right now. Teams are moving the ball. Indiana Jones moved the ball, so why can't Justin Herbert and crew move the ball? I'm taking this short odds line on Dicker, the kicker, over 1.5 field goals. I'm sure we'll have a couple other kicker player props, but this is the kicker whisper free play, trying to push this to 7 straight free plays, and most importantly, go 9-0 on the NFL season on kicker plays. You heard it, Cameron Dicker from the Chargers, over 1.5 field goals, minus 120 odds on Hard Rock. If you're in Florida, look, if you can't find those odds, then maybe you can't take it. If you want to take it at minus 170, that's fine. But be aware of the juice. And we're going to risk 1 to 2 units. I'm not going to lie. 1 unit for sure. At the odds we have, minus 120, we may go 2 units or 3 just because we have to take advantage, win or lose. I do want you to know when I make bets, I do flat betting, and flat betting is, so if your unit's $100, doesn't matter what the line is, minus 120, minus 150, I'm risking $100 no matter what. I'm not betting to win 100. So if it was a minus 180 bet, I'm not putting down $180 just to win 100. I do the flat betting method. I think over long term it's good. I know it can reduce your profits in that way, but I think it's just the best way to risk management. Because there's going to be ups and downs. Going to win seems nice and easy if it hits, but most of the time, the majority, it's flat betting. So be aware of how I bet, and you would know that if you received our emails through clients. It explains in there how we like to bet, the flat betting method for the most part. And again, thank you for listening. That's going to end the pod. Appreciate it. Do give us 5-star listener, 5 stars if you enjoyed it, less if you didn't. Let us know if you want to hear anything else. But this is kind of the script usually for the podcast. Once in a while, we get some listeners to join me, and we go debate a little bit and talk sports and banter and betting and all that good stuff. But we're off to a hot start. We said 23-7, actually 24-7. If you already want to count yesterday's bet, we had Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns. We hit that in the first half. So we're on a tear. That's all I can say. We're hitting parlays. It's crazy. It's probably the best run, not going to lie, of our betting career. And we're going to hopefully stay afloat, stay around that, and keep it going. Keep making well-informed bets and making sure our risk management is good. We're not getting greedy. So go on our site, FalkNationSports.com. Go to the packages link if you are interested. Hit me up, give you a little promo. Full transparency here. You're going to hear it. If I were to lose this next week, you're going to hear my full results. I'm not going to hide away from that. And I do appreciate all of you. And enjoy college. I enjoy Friday night college football. Enjoy Saturday college football. Big game, Florida and Miami. Game days there, I believe. And, of course, NFL on Sunday. Take it easy, everyone. Good luck. Have a safe weekend.